Do you like zombie movies? If you do, you must not miss Train to Busan 2. It's a thrilling and heartbreaking sequel to Train to Busan with even deadlier zombie outbreak that you won't want to miss. But before we get started, subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our new content. Alright, let's dive into the world of zombies. The plot picks up 4 years after Busan. Busan has also fallen. The zombie virus has caused total anarchy and chaos throughout Korea. Jong-suk, our protagonist, is a soldier. On this particular day, he is driving his sister's family to the last cruise ship to depart. On the way, a woman holding a child stopped the car and asked Jong-suk to take them, but Jong-suk snubbed her mercilessly. They got to the pier. Jong-suk boarded the ship and was assigned a cabin. The cruise ship was supposed to seek refuge in Japan. A soldier entered and informed Jong-suk that the cruise ship had abruptly turned to Hong Kong. Jong-suk approached the captain and inquired as to why. The captain chastised him and told him to follow orders. A man is not quite normal inside the cabin because a normal person cannot hold such a twisted position. The infected person got mixed up in the cabin. There was blood everywhere when Jong-suk returned to the cabin. After dealing with the zombies, he went to his sister's cabin. People in that cabin had been bitten by the zombies. Jong-suk's young nephew was bitten as well. His mother embraced him with trepidation. She couldn't speak because she was so terrified. At this point, the person who was bitten will turn into a zombie. Jong-suk rushed to pull his sister away, but his sister refused to give up her son. At that moment, the bitten man on the ground transformed into a zombie and began attacking Jong-suk. Jong-suk finished firing the bullets from his pistol, escaped, and shut the cabin door. Hamin, his brother-in-law, arrived at the same time. A large group of zombies jumped on Jong-suk's sister, and the two of them watched in agony. 4 years later, Jong-suk and Hamin fled to Hong Kong on a cruise ship, but life is not going well for them. He has been in pain as a result of his guilt over his sister's death. On the one hand, Jamin was upset that Jong-suk did not do everything possible to save his sister. Locals, on the other hand, despised him. A gangster approached Jong-suk one day. They want Jong-suk to return to Korea and collect the funds from the truck. Korea is now a zombie haven. The zombies have no desire for money. This gang member found a way to make money by sending his men to Korea and collecting a truckload of money, totaling $20 million. They returned to find themselves surrounded by zombies. They were all murdered. If he can get the money back, Jong-suk will split half of it. Jong-suk quickly agreed. Hamin, Wei-soo, and Min-hoo followed him. Jong-suk and his group soon boarded the boat. The gangsters drove the boat out to sea. They provided them with weapons and satellite phones. They were then ferried ashore in a rubber boat. The ship will be waiting for them here. After disembarking, the area is deafeningly quiet. There are crumbling buildings everywhere, and not a single ghost can be found. Min-hoo then opened a car door. The keys were in the vehicle. They drove to look for the truck after starting the car. Wei-soo was behind the wheel of the car. She was a cab driver in the area prior to the zombie virus outbreak. They were walking along when they noticed a truck. Jong-suk got out of the car to investigate. The license plate they were looking for was not the one they were looking for. There was a strange noise in a corner at the time. Jong-suk, who was not afraid of death, went up to investigate. He peered through his rifle's night vision scope. He was terrified to death. The zombies were staring at him with hunger. The group proceeded to locate the truck. They eventually found it under an overpass. Someone in the shadows is peering through binoculars at them. Jamin unlocked the truck, revealing a bag stuffed with cash. When they got to the driver's side to drive away, they discovered a dead driver inside the cab. Jamin jumped into the car and attempted to throw him out. At that precise moment, the deceased driver opened his eyes. He opened his mouth and prepared to bite Hamin. He accidentally honked the truck's horn during the fight. Jong-suk eventually shot and killed the driver. A large number of zombies rushed here when they heard the truck horn. These zombies go blind at night, but their hearing is particularly acute. Jong-suk pulled out his rifle and began shooting, but there were far too many zombies. Jong-suk climbed into the truck and drove away from the zombies. The two vehicles were driving down the road. Wei-soo began to fantasize about becoming wealthy. A person got out of the car and fired a flare at them. The darkness was blinding. The zombies rushed over when they saw the fire. They hurried away. The road is already blocked by a zombie army. Wei-soo collided with some pedestrians and lost control of his car. The truck in front of them couldn't brake. It collided with them. Inertia threw Jong-suk outside of the truck. Huizu was also assassinated. The other 3 people were also hurt. The zombies persisted. Jamin quickly hid inside the truck. Jong-suk began to flee. He met a girl named June on the way. She easily dispatched the zombies after getting into the car. On the passenger side, there was a young girl. June drifted all the way, encountering zombies as a detour. Jong-suk couldn't take the tossing and turning any longer and collapsed. The car passed beneath an overpass. A large swarm of zombies had blocked the road here. The girl then took out a remote control car with lights and music. Control the remote control car in the direction of the zombies. Drive over. The sound drew the attention of the zombies. When the little girl pounced on the remote control car, it drifted and turned around, causing a large group of zombies to flee. The car started after the zombies had been distracted. It smashed into a few scattered zombies before fleeing. Jamin sobbed. The zombies are still circling the truck with no plans to leave. At that precise moment, an exaggerated advertising vehicle passed by. It diverted the attention of the zombie horde. Several armed vehicles parked nearby drove away. A group of people exited the vehicle. They didn't appear to be good guys. Min Ho got out of the truck's cab and asked for assistance. However, he was already infected. The group's leader approached him. They assassinated him. They then got into the truck and drove away. Jae-main. I had no idea what was going on outside the truck. He, too, was taken away. Jong-suk awoke. In front of him appeared an elderly man. Jun's grandfather is pictured here. A woman approached at that precise moment. Jong-suk immediately recognized her. Min Jae-ing is the woman who approached them on the road and asked for assistance. He and his daughter survived the apocalyptic environment. Jong-suk was taken in. The elderly gentleman owned a radio. He had been requesting assistance from the outside world. The group drove Jiamin to a camp. Unit 631 was the name of the group. They were originally a regular unit, but since the zombie virus outbreak, this location has become an isolated island. They were abandoned, so they turned into zombie hunters. To survive, they built defenses, stealing resources from the zombie pile. These people have only done evil. They are even more terrifying than the zombies. This is where the Minjing family fled. They ripped Jimin's clothes off after discovering him in the carriage. They sprayed numbers on his body. Hamin's legs went limp because he was terrified. He was then placed in a container. The container contained a large number of naked people. They squatted on the ground silently, not making a sound. Soon after, the container's door opened. Everyone on the inside left. Hamin was also kicked out. It felt like they were in a coliseum in front of them. Crowds were watching, cheering, and betting from above. The countdown began at that point. When the passage door opened, a swarm of zombies dashed towards them. They were engaged in a game of zombies chasing living beings. Many people died in the zombies' mouths. The clock has struck 12, and music is playing. A man in a glowing suit appears and pulls the walkers back. Jae-main escaped in a daze. The guards tossed them a few packs of instant noodles back into the container. They scrambled and devoured them. Captain Su, the man in front of him, is the territory's leader. He was fed up with his life and was about to end it. There was an unexpected knock at the door. One of his men delivered a bottle of foreign wine to him. Captain Su looked at the wine and wished she could die. He learned about the truck from his man's mouth. He went to the truck and discovered the satellite phone while tinkering with it. The telephone rang. The call came from the ship's captain. When the people on the ship realized it wasn't Jong-suk, they told him that whoever it was could leave if he delivered the money and received the same reward. When Captain Su found out he could get out of here, he agreed. In Jong-suk's eyes, Hamin had been murdered. They made the decision to pick up the truck after dark and drive it to the port to board the ship. Jong-suk dozed off, and when he awoke, it was dusk. Then they packed their belongings, grabbed a weapon, and drove away. They planned to break into the camp and steal the truck, leaving June in the car to await them. They entered the main camp of Unit 631 via a secret passage. They were the ones who got away from here in the first place. They noticed the truck after taking care of one of the guards. Captain Su arrived at the Coliseum and used a loudspeaker to address the crowd. We now have enough supplies. Tonight is a night for everyone to have a good time. He intended to use this method to entice people to come here. Then he tried to flee quietly in his truck on his own. Sergeant Kim had already realized something was wrong. Sergeant Kim was already waiting for Captain Su when he returned to the room. However, he found nothing wrong. Captain Su entered the room and covered the satellite phone on the table with the speaker. His men had no idea Sergeant Kim was in the room at the time. He entered by pushing the door open. Captain Su quietly took out his pistol behind his back while Sergeant Kim was questioning his man. Sergeant Kim thought they were dating. He exited the room gracefully. Jong-suk and Minjing arrived at the truck just as they were about to leave. Captain Su's men had also arrived. Minjing crept into the cab and held a gun to his head. Then two guards noticed him. They inquired as to why he did not attend the performance. He came up with a random reason to justify it. The guards then told him that the man trapped in the truck had shown great bravery in the Coliseum. Jong-suk realized Hamin was still alive when he heard this. As a result, he rushed to save Hamin. Captain Su will arrive after Jong-suk has left. He appears to be an old acquaintance of Minjing, but he suddenly pulled out a pistol and shot at Minjing, knocking him to the ground as Minjing drove the truck in reverse. His body was discovered to have a satellite phone. Hamin's close encounter with the zombies in the Coliseum continues. Hamin is attacked by a zombie who screams and lunges. The zombie was killed at this point. Jong-suk has arrived. He exterminated all of the zombies in this area. Then Jong-suk detonated a smoke bomb. He managed to get Hamin out of there. They were on their way out when they were stopped by soldiers. Soldiers opened fire on Jong-suk. Jong-suk dashed to the side and took cover. A zombie jumped at Jong-suk at that precise moment. Hamin took up the rifle that was lying on the ground. He opened fire on the approaching soldier. He then pointed the gun at Jong-suk. Jong-suk grabbed the gun and dispatched the zombie. Sergeant Kim, who was hiding at the time, fired at Hamin. Hamin was murdered in this manner. Sergeant Kim quietly turns the gun on Jong-suk while he was fighting with other soldiers. Min-jing arrived with his truck just as he was about to shoot. Jong-suk managed to flee in a truck. Captain Soo awoke outside at that precise moment. He was helpless as he watched the truck drive away. Sergeant Kim appeared carrying his man. A group of zombies on the road stopped Jong-suk's truck. A swarm of zombies surrounded the truck's front end. They were on their way to becoming zombie food. June was driving at the time and pulled up not far away. All of the zombies are drawn to the blinding light. At the same time, Min-jing drove his truck through the zombies and rushed past. To attract the zombies, the old man in the truck set off fireworks. The two cars were on their way to the port. Sergeant Kim's convoy had just caught up with them at that point. They fired flares into the sky, attracting the zombies' attention. Jong-suk was encircled. The vehicle drove beneath the overpass. Jong-suk aimed his gun at the glass. The zombies shattered the glass. Sergeant Kim's car failed to brake and crashed into a swarm of zombies. The car could not be driven in reverse. Sergeant Kim had been overrun by zombies. After dispatching Sergeant Kim, Jong-suk used the satellite phone to contact the ship at the port. Captain Soo drove his car into June's car just as they arrived at the ship. He dragged June from her car and held her hostage. At this point, the little girl drove the remote control car into Captain Soo. Captain Soo fired a shot at the young girl. The old man rushed to the girl's aid, but he was shot. Min-jing took up the gun to defend himself and was shot in the leg again. Captain Soo dashed to the truck at this point. He drove the truck and fled. He imagined his life in Hong Kong while driving in the truck. He maneuvered the car onto the boat. He was approached by gangsters. Captain Soo's enthusiastic greeting, on the other hand, killed him. The gangsters intended to kill everyone in the truck, regardless of who was inside. With his last breath, Captain Soo shifted the truck into neutral. The truck escaped from the cabin and became stuck in the door panel. A swarm of zombies charged towards the ship at that moment. The injured old man, on the other hand, is dying. A helicopter's horn could be heard in the distance. The little girl dashed off to shoot fireworks into the sky. She was successful in attracting the helicopter's attention. With the little girl in his arms, Jong-suk dashed towards the helicopter. The fireworks attracted zombies, who came from all directions. However, there were far too many zombies. Min-jing climbed into a truck and yelled as loudly as he could. The zombies were drawn to the sound as well. Jong-suk and the two children finally arrived near the helicopter. The girl pleaded with the rescue team to save her mother, but they did nothing. Min-jae-ing, who was inside the truck, committed suicide because he didn't want to drag them down with him. Jong-suk rushed forward with his gun at that precise moment. Her chances of survival improved when she heard the gunshot. She opened fire on the zombies. Jong-suk arrived, throwing smoke bombs. They eventually emerged from the smoke. They flew away in a helicopter. That's the end of the story. Thanks for watching. If you love movies and want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Till then, see you on the next video.